All right, so thanks for joining us again. We're going to dive into a little bit more gym etiquette stuff, right? Because one thing Joe brought up, which I think there's like time and places for, I think we'll talk about it a little bit. But the one thing that I think it's like being aware of your surroundings while you're in the gym working out. I hate when people get like, they walk up to the dumbbell rack and they're in front of the mirror. They like grab the most popular dumbbells, like say the 25s, which they're fine to do, right? You need to grab those weights, use those weights.
Perfect timing.
You need to use those weights, grab those weights, but they like camp out right in front of the dumbbell rack and they don't move. Like there's like 6 or 7 other sets of dumbbells that you literally can't get to because a dude's standing there with headphones on, just like staring at himself get a pump. Does that annoy you?
Extremely. I've been, I've been both a victim and, the criminal.
Yeah, victim and the criminal.
Yeah, but I mean, it's in the long run, man. When you look at it, if you're in the gym to get what you're in there for, and you're not trying to waste time, but the main focus is to get in your lifts and get in your accessory movements and get out. Having someone stand there, he or she, and literally, which I never understood the point of, was to be right on the dumbbell rack after they grab dumbbells, and not, there's so much floor space, just backing away. There's plenty of mirror to look at. Do you really need to be right on the mirror, right on the rack to do a lateral raise? And that's one of the most annoying moves possible, like to ever do in the gym anyway, in a crowded area, because of the wingspan that you're having to deal with. As far as etiquette, I feel like it's the first and foremost, man. If it's an empty gym, who cares?
Right. Sure.
But even if there's a couple people over there by the racks, someone's probably trying to use the mirror as well. You end up actually blocking someone else's view of if they're they're into watching themselves work out, or if I just got done my set and look up and you're just steady, just right there doing whatever you're doing right on the rack, and I can't put my dumbbells down until you literally finish, because at that point, am I at fault for stopping you mid-set just to say, hey man, I need to re-rack my weights?
I hate that awkward moment where you're like,
yeah. It's a different language that we all understand, which is funny.
It's like you said, it's like a traffic jam, because like if that dude's holding that person up, then that person's gonna be holding that person up, which just like everybody's sitting there just you're literally blocking just from getting equipment and going on and doing the set.
Cool, dude. You could have just moseyed up like a foot to the right, man. That's all you gotta do, And at the end of the day, like, why are you literally in the middle of the rack?
And that's the thing, like, is there usually a place to go after you get the dumbbells? It's like if it's a super crowded gym and like the only place to stand is right in front of the rack, I mean, I guess I could get it, but it's like then you need to be super aware of, hey, I'm blocking things from what other people may need to get to.
Right.
At least like if you're just doing lateral raises, or you're doing curls or whatever, like be aware that hey, someone's probably looking to see if those dumbbells are there, and if they need to come grab them from you, then you can at least like make the signal like, hey, you need these, or maybe move away. So I feel like most gyms, like you have the dumbbell rack, and then you have like the open space where the utility benches are.
Yep.
And it's like 2 to 3 feet between where the benches are and the dumbbell. That's your walkway. That's like the no man's land. Like you're not allowed to work out, right?
The warning
Step
track.
away. You know what I mean?
So, which is, I never understood why they put the utility benches that close. Every time. And I get it if you're down at the, maybe if it's like you space them out where if you're at the heavier end of the dumbbell rack, where it'd be a little bit safer and easier to handle, just because you don't have to walk that bad boy. 7 or 8 feet just to sit down. But which is surprising that 7 or 8 feet is a lot more people think when you're holding on a 100.
Yeah, when you're holding a 100-something dumbbell, lug you're having to lug that thing over.
But I mean, again, it's that goes back to, like you said, it's all the same setup where at the end of the day, there's only a certain amount of space that you have from the rack and the benches. At what point are you at fault if you are asking the individual to, hey, kind of, stand aside and interrupt their set?
It's like it's such an awkward situation.
Yeah. I mean, how would you approach that, basically?
At this point, I'm comfortable enough I would walk up next to them, make the signal like, hey, I need to get in there. And then having done that in the past, I've never had anyone like stare me down and stand closer. They're like, "Oh yeah, sorry," you know. 'Cause
Right.
most people just aren't thinking about what they're doing, getting the workout, listening to tunes. So I have no problem jumping in. I think like all things, it kind of like both sides need to play into it, right?
Doesn't
It's
mean
not like
depending on how you
one
approach it,
person's
too.
fault, you know. I think it is like people need to like get out of your own head sometimes and realize like that, you know, other people do need to get in here. So I have no problem interrupting if it's like, 'cause this is my time. They need to respect that.
Sure.
You know, I respect their time. So I try and make it as quick as possible. But I'm sitting here and I'm like thinking about it. I'm like, is that rude of me? What do you do? Do you jump in or?
I mean,
do you wait?
depending if they got headphones on, I do make a gesture. I am, but 9 times out of 10, I have the weights in my hand to like gesture that like I'm trying to set these down.
Yeah.
But if I'm empty-handed and I'm trying to go grab weights, then I will step to where they can see me, because a lot of times they might have their head down.
Yeah,
in
like kind of
position
make
and
your
stuff like
presence
that,
aware. Yeah.
And I don't try to interrupt them so much as like, hey man, you know, tap them on or like that. But it's more along the lines of, you know, flag them down, and usually if they'll turn their headphones off or they'll, you know, move their headphones out of the way, then I'll ask them like, hey man, you mind if I grab these dumbbells right quick? And I think like, every time that's ever happened, you know, they pretty much realize that I'm in the way, and they've actually stood, you know, a couple feet away from that area, and then, you know, it's to make more room for that situation too. Because I'm not trying to ruin your workout, but it's just more along the lines of like, I'd like to use those too, you know, so.
Yeah, and I think, you know, everybody in the gym understands like, hey, you know, this person's here to work out too. They need these weights for this exercise. I just had a lapse in thinking about what I was doing, or like particularly like if it is a quiet gym, maybe there's like 2 or 3 other people, and like you're just in the zone and you're hitting the dumbbells, and then all of a sudden like you stay in your set in front of the rack because like literally when you started your set nobody was around, but little did you know that person was walking out of the bathroom and heading right over to the dumbbell rack, and like you think you're all alone, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh shoot, you're right there. Yeah, I got no problem moving.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And I guess that's the flip side of the coin. It's like if I'm ever doing something and you want to work in with me, or you want to grab the weight, or you need to interrupt my set, do it. I don't mind. Like, unless you're just like trying to tell me how tiny my arms are. Like, out of here. But no, like I'm of the mindset like I never mind. And I mean, I don't know. I guess I've encountered people who got a little like peeved by me interrupting them. So I guess some people are like, or I guess more like peeved. It's like they just had the headphones on and they just kind of acknowledged my presence, but they never were like, oh yeah, no problem.
Right.
They were just like, you know what I mean? Like that kind of reaction where it was.
I mean, I've been to a couple of gyms before out of town where, you know, you're the new guy and no one knows you, and you walk in and you just happen to be there at a busy time. And there's always, I have, you know, encountered where that guy will look at you like, I'm not done with my set yet. Like, I don't want the dumbbells in your hand. I just want to get the ones that you're standing and blocking, you know?
Yeah.
So, and then, of course, he doesn't finish this, you know, doesn't move anything until he finishes his set. And he's like, okay, I'm good, man. Like, that's great, dude. Like, I kind of
did that a few minutes ago.
Like, I wasn't trying to stop you, man. Stand aside. But yeah, I mean, I think just as long as you approach it, you know, with a respectful manner. Hey, like, I'm not trying to, you know, you shouldn't even have to say anything. Just kind of make the gesture. Right.
Yeah, I feel like there's that universal gym language where it's like, you know, like you pointed it and someone understands like, oh, they're trying to get to whatever that thing is. Let me just take a few steps back. Or whatever. But there are, like, I was trying to think, there are moves, like, that I do on the dumbbell rack. Like, for instance, the dumbbell one-arm row. I love, like, putting my hand on, like, the middle tier, grabbing off the dumbbell, and then being bent over, and then doing the row. Is that inappropriate? Should I move away and, like, go to a bench? It just feels better to be on the rack. But I don't...
I guess at that point you have to judge, like, being aware of your surroundings.
Well,
is it really packed out? Like, you know, are you going to be using a weight that's probably going to get requested pretty much by a lot of people around you, or are you just literally standing in the way? Period. You know? So I think that's when you have to make a judgment call. You know, I've been on before plenty of times. I mean, today I actually did that. Like, I was doing dumbbell kickbacks.
Oh, yeah, leaning over, kickback,
yeah. And I mean, luckily there were 2 other people working out over there, but one was on the cables, and the other guy was doing dumbbells.
Because for those who don't know, we have the cable tower right next to our dumbbell rack, so you can kind of, if someone's on the cable tower, then you have plenty of room to work on the dumbbell rack.
Right, and then there was another person that was doing a seated overhead presses. So we were all in that same vicinity, but no one was on top of each other, which is a good thing. And the only reason I decided to use the rack as a support was because I knew I wouldn't bump into anyone, and that nobody was coming in that direction. And again, that's making the judgment call.
Which, by being on the dumbbell rack, actually was the right open space to be in for you right then. Because if you had someone doing seated presses over here and someone's in the cable tower, it's like you don't want to be right in between them clashing. Being up in front of the dumbbell rack actually created more space for everybody.
Very true, yeah.
I guess if
it's laid out.
Yeah, if everybody's weights were kind of like, you didn't need to, if you're doing the kickbacks like right in front of a weight that he was just about to grab or something, then. But I mean, I guess there's always kind of like two sides to the story. Right?
Again, making a judgment call, like, is it really worth getting into an argument with someone just because you have to stop, mid-set to stand aside? It's. I don't think people should get as upset about it. I feel like other people should never really get as upset when they're in mid-set of something, unless you're doing, like a super heavy set, or you're going for a PR or something like that.
Right.
Like at that point, you're really in a zone. But if you're doing like just regular, bicep curls or whatever, anything you think of that involves the dumbbells. If you're having to stand and you know that your movement pattern is going to create, a cluttered area, do you really need to stand in front of that mirror? And if there's multiple mirrors, does it have to be the one in the rack? Can you not go to the one that's a little bit farther down, or whatever the case? So, but again, I think it depends on the gym that you're at for one thing, but then also you yourself as a character. It just simplify the situation. So,
I like that.
At the end of the day, I don't want to come in here and be already pissed off because some guy gave me a dirty look because I just asked to use the dumbbells.
Right.
So,
and like you said, I think most of that can be avoided just by you knowing, just taking the lay of the land and knowing, okay, that area is crowded. I can grab those dumbbells and go over there. That's fine. Or I'm going to stand right in front of the rack, but I'm going to stay very attentive to what's going on around me. And then just letting people, not being mad if someone comes and asks you, hey, can I grab these? Yeah, absolutely. So, I think that's about perfect. So we'll wrap it up on that one. Be aware of your surroundings. Stay open, look around, know what's going on. Don't hog things.
No kidding.
Easy peasy. Thanks for tuning in. Like, subscribe, comment.
Yes.
Is that what you see me? Appreciate it, guys. We'll see you next time.
Yeah.
I know, dude. My eyes are like legitimately watering.